Okay, guys, page 12, the alphabet rules. My favorite thing in the world is to do theory. So here we are with some music theory. We've talked a lot about the alphabet in music. Simple, doesn't have 26 notes. It only has A through G, and then it starts over again. So we only have to learn in music A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So the first line is your A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. I just want you to play this and say the notes out loud, making sure that you follow these fingerings. So this is the first time we've had fingerings in your music. We have 1, 3, 4, open, 1, and so on. Sometimes in music you'll see fingerings. I tend to, even professional people will have fingerings in their music. It helps you with shifting, which we haven't learned at this point, but eventually you're going to need to know, is that third finger or is it second finger? And sometimes if you make a mistake or can't remember, it's a good idea to have that finger on there to remind you, like, is this second finger, is it third finger? But we'll get down to that in a while. Then we're going to learn something that all Western music is based upon, is a major key. So all major scales repeat 7 notes over and over again. They're capped out with an octave, which gives them 8 notes. So usually, like in this case, you're going to start on an open C, and you end on a 4th finger on the G string, C. So always with the whole and half step pattern of this major scale, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. In the blanks below, you're going to write whether you're playing a whole step or a half step. Well, on the previous page, we learned that a half step is the next nearest note, and a whole step has a note in between. So if we number these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we are always in a major scale going to have a half step between 3 and 4 and 7 and 8. That's really light. It's hard for me to write from this far back. So half step between the 3rd note and 4th note and the 7th and the 8th note in a major scale. Every other note will be a whole step. That pattern remains the same whether you start on C, whether you start on G, whether you start on A, whether you start on B, whether you start on D. It doesn't matter. That whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half stays the same in a major scale. That's what gives us our ear to hear a major scale. So let's go ahead with C major. So C major has no sharps or flats. So if you look here at the beginning, you just see your regular bass clef 4/4, and then there's nothing else here. We're going to introduce key signatures at this point on this page. But so C major has no sharps or flat. So when you look by the clef sign, you will see nothing written there. A 1 octave C major scale starts on C, ends 8 notes higher on the next C, with the pattern of whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half between the notes. So it's either a major scale is either a whole step or a half step, and the pattern from the beginning of the scale is always whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. It never changes, you guys. That is one of the laws of major scales. So let's play this C major. So we're going to start right here. Play with me. So you know all these notes. C, then D, then E, F, G, A, B, and C. Then if we go back, C half step will be the first one, then a whole step, then whole step to F, then half step, and whole step. And what you're hearing on my cello is my wolf tone, because my wolf eliminator fell. Let's take a little detour here. So hear that bubbly sound? There it is. That's called a wolf tone on a cello, and it actually means that your cello is really super vibrates really well. But there's a note usually between E and F sharp. Either it'll hit on the D string or on the G string here, sometimes on the C string. Mine will hit on all four of those Fs. I'm able to use a mute, but they do have wolf eliminators. If you have that bumpy sound on a note on the, like either E, F, or F sharp, usually on the D string, that's something that's easily fixed. So there's a number of ways to do it. Mine is fixed well with just a mute on that G string. Okay, so C major, major scale. Let's go to the next magic of this. So we have always had our sharps up to this point be on the notes. But let's look close here. You have the bass clef, and then that hashtag sign is before the time signature. The C common time is your time signature on this one. Why? Oh my goodness. What are we going to do with that one? Well, this is a new term that's very important. From now forward, you're going to need to look over here and find your key signature. So we have the time signature, which is going to be your 4-4 or C or 3-4 when we learn the other time signatures. You want to find out what clef you're in. For right now, you can just assume you're in bass clef, but there's going to be times when you won't be in bass clef. Cello gets to learn tenor clef and treble clef. We are triple threat there. And we have to now look for our key signature. Key signature will be in between the staff clef sign and the time signature. This is the key signature. This tells you what's going to be sharp or flat throughout your whole piece. What is that? It looks like that hashtag might be on the F line. Is it? Yes, because the F is the very first sharp that you come into in your circle of fifths. You don't have to worry about what the circle of fifths are yet, but eventually we're going to learn them. Well, this sharp is put in here because if we're going to play a G major scale, we need to have whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Well, if we play G, A, well, that's a whole step. Okay, that works. A to B, whole step, that works too. B to C, that's a half step. Yay! Okay, we're in good shape. We don't have to change anything here. C to D, that's a whole step. That's right. D to E, that's a whole step too. E to F natural, oh no, that's a half step. Well, we have to get this pattern. We have to make that a whole step. So what we have done is we sharp this F in G major to make sure that we can get the pattern of whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So this E to F needs to be a whole step. So we change the E because it's right from the D. We change the F to a sharp, then that gives this a whole step. And then guess what? F sharp to G is your half step. Well, there's your major scale. And instead of writing every F, a sharp on every F, let's figure out a way to put it somewhere where then everybody will know that all the Fs in this piece are sharp and this is in G major. There it is right there. That's your key signature. time signature, key signature, your clef sign. And the reason for that F sharp is to get your pattern, your major scale pattern. Your ear will hear this and you'll go, yeah, I know this because we're Western. So let's play G major. So we have open G, whole step, half step, whole step, 4 to open, whole step, first to third, and that's F sharp, and then G, and then let's come back. G, half step to F sharp, whole step to E, and D, open, 4, 3, half step, then A, first finger, and G. So now you know G major scale has 1 sharp. Well, let's go down to the next one on the bottom of this page. Look at that. So this one had 1 sharp. This one has 2 sharps. Uh-oh. Why? Well, let's figure it out. My guess is that it might be because we needed to get a whole step where there was a half step. So let's find out. D to E is a whole step. That's okay. E to F is supposed to be a whole step, but it's a half step. Oh, okay. So we have to add the F sharp in D major as well. If we start on D, you have to have that F sharped in order to get the correct half steps. F sharp to D is a half step. G to A is a whole step. A to B is a whole step. That's cool. B to C, that's supposed to be a whole step, but it's only a half step. Okay, well, let's put an F sharp in this and a C sharp. Then we have a major scale with the correct halves and whole steps in the right place. Every time you add a sharp, you keep the one before it. So F will be the first sharp always. F and C are always together as the first 2 sharps. We will learn a little bit different way to come around that later, but for now, just remember that F is the first sharp always. So if you look at your music and you see 1 F, 1 sharp, it's always F. If you see 2, it's always F and C. You never see C sharp by itself in a key signature. The key signatures build on themselves. So if you have 1 sharp, it's always F. If you have 2, it's always F and C. If you have 3, it's always F, C, and A. No. You know what? That's out of my brain right now what the 3rd sharp is. Sorry. Anyway. I'm on this brain. That is your lesson for today. Super important that you learn about major scales, that you play these, you know the names of the notes, you know what creates a major scale. Once you've got that, then page 13 is going to be so easy and you'll be so excited because the wall of your foundation has just been poured.